Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So if we do our place value grid, and so we've got units here, tenths and hundredths. Don't think we need any more. So we can put in our number, it's 5.87, and you can see here that the 8 here is in the tenths column. So the 8 represents 8 tenths. There are 10 squares in total, so each square is worth 1/10. And if we count all of the shaded squares, we notice that in total there are 7 shaded squares. So that's 7 lots of 1/10 or 7 tenths. So a prime number is a number that is only in the 1 times table and its own times table. So 4, for example, is not a prime number because it is also in the 2 times table. 6 is in the 2 times table. 15 is in the 3 times table. 21 is also in the 3 times table. 9 is also in the 3 times table. Now 1 is a bit of a special case. The definition is that it has to be in 1 and its own times table, and technically 1 is only in one of those. So 1 is not a prime number. The smallest prime number is actually 2, but 2 is not in this list. 23 though is not in any other times table, so 23 is a prime number. To find the factors of 30, we're just going to write down all the factor pairs or all the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 30. So 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Now 4 doesn't go because 30 is not in the 4 times table. 5 times 6, and we notice that if we pick 6, it's just going to be 6 times 5, it's just going to be the opposite. So the factors are all the numbers that we've just written down, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. This question's all about like terms. So what we can do is we can add this 10u with this 11u to make 21u. We can also add this 6v with this plus 4v to make 10v. We can also add this 10w to this minus 6w, so 10 take away 6 is 4w, so plus 4w. But we can't add a u term to a v term to a w term, so we have to just leave them be. So our answer is 21u plus 10v plus 4w, but we can multiply them, we just can't add or subtract them. I'm going to start just by writing down the number. And we're asked to round this to 3 significant figures, and basically what that means is starting from the left hand side, it's 3 numbers that we want. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do our line after that third number. And you start counting the first non-zero digit. So the first digit there was 2, so we started counting. Now all the numbers to the left, or sorry, to the right, so these numbers here, will all turn to 0. But before that happens, we look at this number. Now this number, if it's 5 or more, it moves this number up by 1. If it's less than 5, that number stays the same. Now it is 5 or more, because it is 5. So it's not going to be 207, it's going to be 208. Now, a common mistake is that students write down 208. No, all the numbers to the right of that line turn to 0. So it would be 0, 0, 0. So it would be 20,000 or 208,000 exactly. Median just means middle, but It's the middle of the ordered list. So the first thing we need to do is put these numbers in order. So we're going to have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. And to find the middle, what we do is we cross off the smallest and the largest, and we put our pen away. Then we do the same thing again, smallest, largest, pen away. Now, you see here that I can't cross out the smallest and largest because that will leave no numbers at all. So when you're left with 2 in the middle, all you need to do is add them together and divide by 2. So 5 plus 6 is 11. And 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. And if you look, 5.5 is exactly halfway between 5 and 6. So for this question, we need to convert the percentage to a decimal. So to do that, we get that 8.9%, and we just divide by 100. And so that will give us 0.089. And so we get that 0.089. Of normally means times in maths, so we just go times that by 457, and that will give us 40.67. So we're going to start by writing 5/9 as a decimal, and to do that we just need to do 5 divided by 9, which will be 0.5 recurring. And to convert between a decimal and a percentage, we just times by 100. So we're going to get that 0.5 recurring, and we're going to times it by 100, and that will equal 55.555 recurring. And to the nearest percent, that's going to be 56, because that 5 will move that 5 up by 1. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord, and the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. So for this question, we need to understand that the units we currently have are in meters per second, and the units we want to get them to or convert them to are kilometers per hour. Now, to convert the meters part is quite easy, because all we need to do is divide by 1,000. And when you divide the top of a fraction by 1,000, all you do is you just divide the whole thing by 1,000. So we're just going to divide the whole thing by 1,000. So we've got 95, and we're going to divide the whole thing by 1,000. So we get 0.095, and that's going to be kilometers per second, because we haven't dealt with the seconds yet. So that's the easy part. The more difficult part is converting the seconds to hours. So to convert seconds to hours, we divide by 60 and then divide by 60. So we divide it by 360. Seems simple enough. But the seconds are at the bottom of a fraction, and when you divide the bottom of a fraction by something, you actually times the whole fraction by that thing. So we're going to times the whole fraction by 360. And so we do 0.095 times 360, and you get the answer of 342 kilometers per hour. So our answer is 342 kilometers per hour. So when asked to describe a relationship, I always start off the sentence as the amount of, and I pick this one here, the X one, red sweets increase the amount of, and then I pick this one here, green suites. And this is the only word here that changes. So what we do is we look at what happens as we're going to the right, as red suites increase, what's happening to the green suites. Well, the green suites start really high and then slowly are going down and down. So the word here is decrease. Obviously the other option is that they increase. An increase would be if they ended up making this kind of correlation here. There are a number of different ways of working out this question. You can find out the amount of tissues per penny. You can work out the amount of, or the price of one tissue, or you can get all the amount of tissues into the same amount. I'm going to find out the price per one tissue. And we're going to start off with the 24. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the money into pence just to mean that we don't have as much decimal. And we're going to do 807. I'm going to divide by the 24 to find out the price of one tissue. So that is 33.625. And so I'm just going to round that to 33.63. I'm just going to round everything to 2 decimal places, which says in the question. Next one, we're going to do the 20 soft tissues. So this time I'm going to do 683 divided by 20. When I put that into the calculator, you get 34.15, so that's already 2 decimal places. And then finally we're going to do the 15 soft tissues. So we're going to do the 623 divided by 15 to find the price per tissue. It should be 41.533 blah blah blah. And rounded would be 41.53. So if you buy 15 tissues, it will cost 41 pence. 20 tissues, it will be 34 pence per tissue. But 24 tissues will be 33.63. So that's by far the cheapest. The best value is the 24 tissues box. Now, there's such thing as buying in bulk. Generally, the more you buy of something, the cheaper it is. Don't rely on that, both in the GCSE, both in the exam, and in real life. Sometimes in real life, if you buy more of an item, actually per tissue, sometimes it becomes more expensive, especially if there's a special offer on the smaller box. We've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether in our ratio. So we've got 51 saying yes, 7 saying no, and 13 undecided. So altogether, we've got 51 plus 7 plus 13, which is 71 parts. Now each part is equal. So to find out the value of one part, we're going to do how many students there are, which is 2,911, and divide it by the 71 to find out what one part is worth, how many students are in one part. One part's worth 41 students. So each one of those parts in the ratio is 41 students. Now yes, because it goes yes, no, undecided, yes will be the 51 there. So it's 51 lots of 41 students. 51 parts with each part representing 41 students. And when you multiply those together, you get 2,091. So our answer is that 2,091 students responded with yes. So we're asked to reflect this shape along the line y equals x, and y equals x is a diagonal line where all the x values are equal to the y values. So at the bottom here we've got x is 10 and y is 10, so that coordinate would be 10, 10. And then obviously this coordinate 4, 4, etc. So we need to reflect it across this line. And so if I pick a point, I'm going to pick the top one. We can see it goes 4 diagonals to hit that line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will go another 4 diagonals. So that will be one of the coordinates there. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. So it will be there. And then finally, I'm going to do this slightly harder one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of goes over the other one, ends up here. So if we join these up, and we need to label it B. Whenever we do these kind of questions, it's always best to convert the pattern into numbers. So we're just going to count the dots. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the first one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So our sequence is going 9, 13, 17. And we're going to see what it's going up in. So we're adding 4 each time. And that means our sequence will involve 4n. And then what we do is we go backwards 1 to find the 0th term. So we're going to take away 1. So 9 take away 1 is 5. So the 0th term is 5. And the 0th term just tells us what to add on to the 4n. So 4n plus 5 will be our answer. So the only way of answering this question is to work out what these are as ordinary numbers. And so 7 times 10 to the power of 7 would be 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 9 times 10 to the power of 4 would be 90,000. So that would be 9, 0, 0, 0, 0. And so we're just subtracting them like that. And so we'll get 6, 9, 9, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. And obviously if this is on the calculator paper, just type it into your calculator. There are no tricks here. You can't do anything with the 7 and the 9. You're not subtracting powers or anything. You're just literally typing in what it says. And there's a button on the calculator like that that you will need to use. So if you don't know what that is, ask your teacher or ask someone to help you out with that. The first thing we need to do is work out the area of the floor, and you'll notice that this is a trapezium. So with a trapezium, the formula is half a plus b times h, and a and b are the parallel sides, so these ones are the parallel sides, and the height is the one connecting the two bases, the two parallel sides. So we're going to start off by writing down the formula. So it'd be half a plus b h. So half times 2.8 plus 1.2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 22. So the area of the floor is 22 meters squared. And it says here that the tiles are sold in packs which cover 3 meters squared. So if each pack covers 3 meters squared, we're going to do 22 divided by 3, which will be 7.33 packs that we need. Now obviously you can't get 0.3 of a pack or 0.33 of a pack. So we're going to have to get 8 packs and just have some left over. So we'll need 8 packs in total. Okay, next thing we look at is the fact that the Jenny has a 25% discount. So we need to find out what 25% discount would do to the £18.60 for the tiles, or for the pack of tiles. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get the £18.60 and we're going to times it by 0.75. We're just going to find 3/4 of it because she has a 25% discount, and that would be 1,395. So that's the tiles are going to cost £13.95. Now I've done this in pence and I've kind of muddled it together here. So really, let's just go back because I've kind of done this in pence. So that would be 1,860 times 0.75, and so each pack will cost 1,395. And the reason we're doing this in pence is the answer needs to be given in pence. so I might as well just make that conversion now. And so it's going to be 8 lots of the 1,395 pence packs, which will cost in total 11,160 pence, or £111.60. But Jenny has £100 to spend, and we're asked how much extra does she need. So we're going to do the 11,160, take away the 10,000 pence that she has, which will give us 1,160 pence. So she needs to find £11.60 or 1,160 pence from somewhere. First thing I'm going to do is just draw the square out, and we know the length of it is 10x plus 10, but it is a square, so that's the same all the way around it. But we're also told that the perimeter is 440, so the perimeter is 440. So what we can do is we can work out the perimeter in algebra by multiplying 10x plus 10 by 4, or just adding up the 4 lengths that we've got. So we're going to do 4 times 10x plus 10. But we also know that that is going to be 440 because we're told in the question that the perimeter is 440. So put our lines in because we're going to solve, and we're just going to start by expanding the brackets, so that'll be 40x plus 40 equals 440. Then we're going to get rid of the plus 40 first, so take away 40 both sides. And so that would be 40x equals 400. And then we get rid of the 40 before the x, so we divide both sides by 40. And we've got x equals 10. So our answer is 10. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. And we're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left-hand side be 1. Okay? And to do that, for 21, I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21. And we're going to do the same to the right-hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. Perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. So we're asked to work out the average speed. So we've got to first of all remember the triangle. So average speed is total distance over total time. And we're told to find the average speed before stopping. So stopping is shown with a horizontal line on a distance time graph. So it's up to this point here. So the average speed will be the total distance, which would be 20, over the total time. So 9:30 to 10 will be 30 minutes, but since our unit will be kilometers per hour, we need that in hours, which will be a half. And 20 divided by a half is going to be 40. So our answer is going to be 40 kilometers per hour. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle, so it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared, and we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants it to two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. To find out what the value of x is, we first of all have to find out what the value of y is. And we can notice that we've got two sets of parallel lines here, and a line going through them. And we kind of got these f angles, which we have to call corresponding angles. So we know that 2y minus 50 is equal to 78. And we must write down the reason, so corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal. Now here we've got an equation and we want to solve it, so we get our lines in. We'll go first of all add 50 to both sides. So we've got 2y equals 78 plus 50, which would be 128. And then we're going to halve both sides, or divide by 2. So we've got 64. So we know that y is 64. And so we look back at the diagram to find out how we'd work out x. Well, what we can do, there's a few different things we can do. We could work out the fact that these two here are vertically opposite. That would be absolutely fine. But actually, if we look at this part here and this part here, these are also two parallel lines, and we've got this angle here and this angle are going to be alternate. So I can write that down here. So angle ECB is equal to 78 degrees. So this will be 78 degrees. And the reason for that is alternate angles. And then finally, if we know this is 78 and we know that this is 64, because we know what y is, then we can work out what x is. So x equals 180, angles in a triangle, take away the 78 we know and the 64 we know. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And just make sure you write down all the reasons as you go. And when we take away the 78 and the 64 from 180, you get 38. So x is therefore 38 degrees. So we're going to start off with x equals 0. And we're going to write out this equation, but with 0 every time it says x. So it's going to be y equals 0 squared minus 0 plus 10. Well, 0 squared is just 0, so 0 take away 0 is just 0, plus 10 is just going to be 10. So the answer there would be 10. Do the same for 1. So it would be 1 squared minus 1 plus 10. Well, 1 squared is 1, 1 take away 1 is 0, plus 10 is 10. So that will also be 10. 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. 2 squared is 4, 4 take away 2 is 2, plus 10 will be 12. Now we're going to do the negative, so we're going to look at minus 1. So it's y equals minus 1 squared, and it's going to be minus 1 plus 10. So a little bit more complicated here. Minus 1 squared is just 1. Now here you have two negatives together. When you have two negatives together, it makes a plus. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 10, which is going to be 12. And then we'll do the minus 2, so it'd be minus 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. So minus 2 squared is 4. The two minuses here make a plus, so it'd be plus 2, which would be 6, plus 10 will be 16. So we're going to plot these on our graph. And so we've got minus 2 is at 16, so that'll be there. Minus 1 is at 12. Should be here. 0 is at 10, 1 is at 10, and 2 is at 12. Okay, when you join this up, things to be aware of is you need to make sure that you have a round U at the bottom and not a flat bottom. Okay, so you want to avoid a flat bottom. You also want to make sure that you avoid feathering like that. You want just one nice smooth line, and my recommendation is always to turn the page on its side. I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to try my best with this, but you need to make sure it goes through all the points, and here's the part here where it goes beneath those 2 points. So make sure it goes beneath those 2 points. On most exams I see them, basically what they do is they draw a line across from those 2 points and say that the line needs to go beneath that, or your curve needs to go beneath that line. So they're looking out that you've gone beneath the line. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So and we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. So I'm going to start just by writing out the equation, and I can put my lines in. Okay, we're asked to make x the subject, so we're going to first of all add 10 to both sides. In fact, I'm just going to move all this over a little bit so I've got a bit more space. Okay, so we're left with m plus 10 on the left hand side, and we've got 1/7 x on the right hand side. Now to get rid of the 1/7, what I can do is just times both sides by 7. So 7 brackets m plus 10 equals x. So x therefore would equal 7 brackets m plus 10, but it says to expand your answer fully. So we just go expand the brackets, 7m plus 70. To find the mean, we need to work out the sum of the numbers, basically what they add up to. And what we then do is divide that by the amount of numbers. Now, what this table is telling us is there are 14 students who got a time between 0 and 4 seconds. Now, it's absolutely impossible to work out what time those students got with the information in this table. So what we need to do is we need to assume they all got, say, 0 seconds or all got 4 seconds. And the fairest value to say that they all got is what we call the midpoint. And to find the midpoint, what you do is you add up the lower bound and the upper bound, so the highest value and the lowest value, add them together and divide by 2. So 0 plus 4 divided by 2, which is just 2. And that gives us a halfway number, which is fair to everyone. So the students roughly probably got 1s, 2s and 3s, and maybe a few 4s maybe. And the average of that is going to be 2, so that's fair for everyone. Same with the 4 and the 8. Halfway between 4 and 8 is 6, and you can add them together, 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Go down finding the midpoints, and we're just going to assume the students all scored the same amount, all got the same time. Then we're going to do our FS column, okay? And so we're assuming that 14 students got a time of 2 seconds. So when you times those together, you get 28. And we're just going to times all of these together. Okay, next we're going to work out the sum of the FS. And to work that out, we just add all of these up together. So we're going to do 28 plus 36 plus 30 plus 126 plus 36. And when you add them all up, you get 256. Now, that will give us the sum of numbers. So we're going to put that into our working out now. And we need to find out how many numbers there are. Well, the frequency column will tell us how many numbers there are. So we're just going to add all of those up together. So we're going to find the sum of the frequency, which is 14 plus 6 plus 3 plus 9 plus 2, which is 34. And when we do 256 divided by 34, we get 7.529 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so we're going to round it to 7.53. We have our everything list here. Now these are all the numbers that go into our Venn diagram. And in A is all the square numbers. So we're going to have a look and see which square numbers we've got. Well, we've got 1 and we've got 4 and we've got 9 and we've got 16 are all square numbers. So in here is 1, 4, 9 and 16. And we're going to look at all the odd numbers. So we've got 3, we've got 17, we've got 1, and we've got 9. Now in both the lists we've got the 1 and 9, so that's going to go in the middle. Just the square numbers are 4 and 16, and just the odd numbers are 3 and 17. Now notice we've got the 2 and the 6 there, and those will just be on the outside. So we're just going to substitute the values that we're given into the formula. So v squared equals, and then u is 16.4 squared plus 2 times a, which is 0.2, times s, which is 110.2. Type that into the calculator and you get 313.039 blah blah blah. And what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly solve this by square rooting both sides, because it's v squared equals and we just want v equals. So v equals, and we're just going to square root that on the calculator, 17.692 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, that's just going to be 17.69. To find the perimeter of this sector, we've got to first of all find out the length of the arc, which will be this part here. And the formula for arc length is, first of all, we find out the fraction of the circle we have. So we put the angle over 360, and that will tell us the fraction of the circle that the sector is. And then all we do is we times that by the circumference, which is pi d. And so that's going to be 49 over 360 times pi times, and the diameter would be twice the radius. The radius is 7, so it would be times 14. When we do all of that, we get 5.986, blah, blah, blah. But that is not the perimeter yet. Perimeter needs to include, get the right ones, needs to include these pots here. So the perimeter will be the 5.986 plus a radius plus another radius. And when we do that, we get 19.986, blah, blah, blah. And we want to round it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 19.99 centimetres. Okay, so we're going to start off by working out the multiplier, and we're told, we always start off with 100%, we're told that the compound interest rate is 1.6%, so we're going to add 1.6% to the 100%, and it's going to be 101.6%. Okay, make that into a decimal by dividing it by 100, so we're just going to divide that by 100, and this will give us the decimal or the multiplier. So the multiplier is 1.016, and so anytime we want to increase something by 1.6%, we just times it by 1.016. Now, we're told that we start off with 2,400, that's our original amount, and to find out what it's going to be in the savings account at the end of the first year, we just times it by the multiplier, 1.016. But we're told that it's for 7 years that it's going to be in there. So we then times it by 1.0167 times, or, easier way of doing it is 1.016 to the power of 7. When we do that, we get 2,682.052, blah, blah, blah. And because it's money, we round to the nearest pence, so 2,682.05. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil will be 10, 990. Now when we're looking at limits, with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. So we've got a right angle triangle here, and it involves two lengths and an angle. So we know we're going to be using trigonometry for this. I'm going to start by labelling the sides. So the one opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, opposite the marked angle is the opposite, and the one between the right angle and the marked angle is the adjacent. Now notice the hypotenuse doesn't have a number or a letter next to it, so we're just going to cross it out. It's not interesting to us. Going to next do our trigonometry triangles. And the trigonometry triangles will have our saw, ca, toa in them. And we crossed out the H, so we're not going to be using so or ka, we're going to be using toa. And toa stands for tan the angle equals opposite over the adjacent. So we're going to tan the 81, and it's going to equal 2.4 over x. Get our solving lines in. Now what you can do here is we can times both sides by x and divide both sides by tan 81. Effectively what we're doing is just swapping these two around. So we end up with x equals 2.4 over tan 81. Now be careful here, when you type in tan or sine or cos, the calculator opens a set of brackets, so make sure you close them before you press the equals button. And when we do that, we get 0.380 blah blah blah, and round to 2 decimal places, that's 0.38. First thing I'm going to do is add these column vectors. So we're going to add the tops first, and then we're going to add the bottoms. So it's plus minus 14. And so at the top it would be minus 4, and 11 take away 14 is minus 3. Then I'm going to pick a point on my shape, and the the top one tells us how far right we're going. So we know we're going 4 to the left because it's obviously a negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom one tells us how far up we're going. Well, it's going to be down because it's a minus 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can do that for each of the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And when we've done that, we can join them all up with straight lines. And label the new shape B. There are two shapes we need to find the volume of. There's this cylinder here and this hemisphere here. So we might as well start with this cylinder. And the formula for the volume is pi times r squared times height. So it's the radius is 9, so 9 squared times the height, which is 30. And when we work that out, we get 7,634.070, blah, blah, blah. Next is the hemisphere. To find the volume of the hemisphere, well, the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times r cubed. But because it's a hemisphere, we just times that by a half. So it's half times 4/3 times pi times r, which is the radius, which is 9 cubed. And that gives us 1,526.814, blah, blah, blah. And so the total volume is 7,634.070, blah, 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 plus the 1,526.814, blah, 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 which equals 9,160.884, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so when we round that, we get 9,160.88. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.